2020 Take Back the Night rally. My name is Isaiah Reynolds, and I have the pleasure of co-hosting with Blue Weber tonight. Before we get started, I definitely just wanted to give a quick introduction as to who I actually am. I've been a resident here for about 6 years now. And like many families that have relocated here, I was a part of a military family. After I graduated high school, I went on to go to UND, and there I really became more connected with not just UND, but the community. I always felt like there was something more that I could give back to those people that I was working with, and just more information that I could give back to them. And for me, it really all clicked at the first time I actually went to a Take Back the Night rally and clothesline project. I had no understanding of really what it was, but I knew it was something that was very big on campus, and I wanted to check it out. And so upon me going, it really struck something in me, simply because I had dealt with that in my own past and people that I just knew. And so I really wanted to not just be able to share this information, but I wanted to know how to actively help prevent those things from happening. And so while I was at that first Take Back the Night rally, I heard the call to action, and I knew that it was something that was speaking directly to me. And that's kind of how I got here today, not being the first time hosting, but actually being my third time hosting, and being able to not just hear different people's experiences, but to be able to understand how they feel and how I can better help them and better help people that may not be in that position yet to tell their story, but they're looking for that outlet. So that's kind of a little bit about myself and why I really wanted to get involved with this organization and with this program that we do every year, and while it's something that I always look forward to. So yeah, that's just a little bit about myself. I'm super excited to be here today, and I'm super honored to be able to host this event with Blue just once again. So.
And my name's Blue Weber. I've lived here for roughly about 10 years, and I have a strange relationship with this city. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but one of the key characteristics of the reason why I love it here is that exact word of care. And it's something that hanging out with people like Isaiah, hanging out in this community, you realize that it's such an important characteristic of the people here, and that resonates through everyone, but especially the CVIC. And it's one of the reasons that I've been so excited to be part of this with Isaiah for the past 3 years. It's always so important for us to be here to talk to everybody about this. And, we take nights like this of Take Back the Night rally and Domestic Violence Month very much to heart, and we're here to do these things, but CVIC does this on a day-to-day basis. One stat that really encompasses how much CVIC cares is that through the entire month of July, CVIC did not receive any report or referral of a child experiencing domestic abuse from an outside agency. Now, that simple fact without any context behind it sounds really great. Well, the care that CVIC has for our community is displayed in amazing, heartwarming fashion, in that they knew what that actually meant, that it wasn't being reported. This organization has stepped up in these challenges and ensures to recognize others in our community that are tracking these issues. As you'll see throughout the night and videos throughout the night, this organization and those associated with it take this very serious. Some of these videos that you might be watching can also be triggering, and so we want to make sure that you know that you're free and you always should reach out to CVIC's crisis hotline. They're available at all times at 701-746-8900. First person you'll hear from tonight is Yvonne, a former CVIC client who's written a riveting book on her experiences and now appears in our first video.
I have no animosity, no hate for the people that hurt me. And I'm not saying that it's okay what they did to me. It's not. But you just made me a stronger person, and I'm not gonna stay silent. I'm gonna talk about it. I believe I was about 3 years old when I first went into foster care. and I was taken from my mother. I remember a lot of things very vividly, the things that I went through. My sister had did something to upset the foster mother, and she had taken a cast iron pan and hit my sister in the head. All I seen was my sister's eyes roll in her head, and she fell on the ground. At that point, I seen the blood coming from her head, and I ran to her immediately, and I started shaking her to get up. And I said, "Get up, get up." I was scared because she wasn't moving. The foster mother had a roll of duct tape. She taped my hands together. She taped my legs together. And she even taped it around my face and over my mouth because I wouldn't stop screaming. She had beaten me so bad that I couldn't walk. And my leg was so swollen, so she told them I was sick at school. I pretended to be okay and walk as best as I could, just so that I could get out of the house to go to school. During recess, I got bit by a bee. I guess I had a reaction, and I woke up in the school nurse's office. And that bee biting me was my escape, because while they were looking for the stinger, they discovered bruises and marks. My social worker came, and she took me away. I was taken to another foster home. A few days later, my sister came, and it was so great to see her, and I couldn't wait to show her our new home. Growing up, I didn't really have an idea what a relationship should look like. I met a guy later while I was here going to school at UND, and he started with little things like pushing me. Eventually, he wrapped his hands around my throat and started choking me. And my daughter had came down the stairs, and she started yelling, "Mommy, Mommy," and she came running. She started hitting him with her little hands, and he put his hand up and he threw his hand back and hit her, and she hit the wall, and her head had hit the wall that it left a hole in the drywall. I had gotten to a place that I felt worthless. I didn't feel like I needed to live anymore. I kissed my children goodnight, tucked them in the bed. I told them how much I loved them. And so I took all these pills, and I kept telling myself, this is for the best. But God had other plans. Because right at the point of, I'm guessing I was getting ready to leave this world, I was able to clearly see my children walking in the next morning and finding me on the floor. And I was able to feel everything that they felt by discovering me there. And I said, Lord, if you let me live, I promise to serve you for the rest of my life. I woke up in the bathtub in a cool pool of water, and in my own vomit, everything had left my body. And I got up the next day, I took the kids, and I said, we're leaving. And I didn't really know where I was gonna go, but then I remembered CVIC. So I drove the kids there. We walked through the door, and I said, Mommy, where are we going? I said, we're gonna get help, and we're not going back. And my daughter's smile on her face, and my son, they were excited that finally we're not gonna deal with this anymore. The lady on the other side of the glass said, can I help you? I said, yes, I need help. And she buzzed us in, and CVIC helped me to find the strength to have my life back. It's just awesome to see an organization like that was there for me 15 years ago, still here and still fighting for people and advocating for people. My whole life I was told to stay quiet, be quiet. Nobody wants to hear you. But I'm going to talk about it because I want to give somebody else hope, somebody else courage, somebody else strength to leave a situation that's not healthy for them, for their children. I can fight back. I can speak. I can be free.
Yvonne will be a panelist on the Rally Roundtable tomorrow. It is inspiring to hear how Yvonne turned the darkest moments of her life into something so powerful.
I'm excited to introduce Koya, who joined the CVIC in July of 2019, bringing more than 20 years of development, marketing, public relations, and business experience to the agency. After spending nearly 2 decades in corporate communication, marketing, and public relation roles, Koya found her professional calling in nonprofit development and leadership. She is leading CVIC through these unprecedented times, ensuring clients' needs are met during the COVID-19 pandemic. She's writing a book commemorating CVIC's 40th anniversary, honoring some of the hundreds of guardians instrumental in showing CVIC's prevention and education efforts and safeguarding our communities. She'll tell you more about that and the work CVIC is doing virtually in her video coming up now.
What started out as a few friends chatting over a cup of coffee has turned into what today is a comprehensive domestic violence and sexual assault agency, the Community Violence Intervention Center. We were founded over 4 decades ago, and today, thanks to the help of many, many partners, volunteers, past clients, donors, and friends of CVIC, we are able to serve over 3,000 direct service clients and over 15,000 prevention and education clients each year. None of this work would be possible without the friends of CVIC that we like to call guardians. And in honor of those guardians, we are launching a commemorative book called 2 Generation Guardians, The Peacemakers Changing the Face of Violence for Good. And at CVIC, that for good piece kind of has a double meaning because there's some finality to the violence ending and in changing the face of violence for good. And there's also the piece that makes life better for our clients and this community. And these guardians, there's actually over 60 of them that will be featured in this book. We hope you'll take a moment to pick up your own copy and read about the many people who have been virtually part of ending violence in 2 generations here in Grand Forks County. And to give you a little flavor for the type of human being you're going to get to meet in this book, I want to tell you about Mary Newman. She is now 85 years old. But 81 years ago, she found out what philanthropy really meant when her mother helped a homeless man get some food from her own kitchen. And I had the fortune of sitting with Mary a few weeks ago in her kitchen, and I asked her, what prompted you to give to CVIC? She was actually one of the people that helped build our shelter. And I said, what prompted you to give a gift like that? And she sort of looked up at the ceiling and sat back in her chair, and she just paused just a brief minute. And she said, for me, that was easy. When I watched my own mother give this homeless man a sandwich, I just felt like this is what God would want me to do. So this is the type of human being you're going to get to hear about if you take a minute to buy the 2 Generations Guardian book. Because none of this work would be possible without the people who extend that kind of help to people they don't even know. And for people like Mary Newman, that's what it's all about. And that's the kind of human that helps Grand Forks County, that will enable it to become to virtually ending violence in Grand Forks County for good. And as we wrap up the tail end of our first 40 years, I just want to pause a moment to reflect on the CVIC team and our partners at CVIC UND, because this year has certainly tested our resolve. We call it the year of resilience. It's been an incredible year with tremendous challenge, not only for Grand Forks County, but our nation as a whole, as well as the world. In Grand Forks County, unfortunately, violence has touched us personally as we've said goodbye to some of our very favorite partners. And with our clients, they have equally been impacted by violence, sometimes to the point where they're coming to us. Some of them have been living in their car, they are without a job, and unfortunately, as the quarantine has forced many of us back into our homes, they're living with an abuser who also has compressed stress. So it's created a lot of turbulence for our clients. In our Light of Hope program, where we see a variety and provide a variety of advocacy and therapy programs, we are seeing a 3% increase in visits. Our shelter is seeing a 46% increase in overnight stays compared to last year. So the pandemic has added an extra layer of pressure for a community that was already trying to combat violence. The good news is that we don't have to stay where we are today, because thanks to your help, we are able to provide educational services to over 15,000 people each year. That includes both youth as well as professionals. A great example of that partnership is CVIC at UND, where we provide advocacy and outreach services to our students here on campus. We are very grateful that the next 40 years will see less violence, and that we will, thanks to your help, be able to virtually end violence in 2 generations. And before we wrap up tonight, I want to tell you a little bit about our Peacemaker Award. It's something we give annually to honor friends of CVIC who truly epitomize what it means to virtually end violence in 2 generations. We have 4 nominees this year, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about what makes each of them special. Melissa Hiltner, principal of Manville Public Schools, has been a true champion for prevention and education in our schools. Through her leadership, trauma-informed practices have become a mainstay for what we teach children in Manville Public Schools. Chief Mark Nelson of the Grand Forks Police Department has been another true peacemaker of our work. What's fun about Chief is once you get him going, you almost wonder if he doesn't work for CVIC instead of along with CVIC. Next, Kara Wetterson is the author of Friendships That Work. And through her programming, we have been able to offer healthy relationship education to students as young as 4th grade. And finally, Sheriff Andrew Schneider. I really don't know where we'd be without Sheriff Schneider. He has been there with us every step of the way through all kinds of challenges, and has been a true champion for enabling us to provide rural programming and outreach to our community throughout Grand Forks County. And without further ado, I would like to announce this year's 2020 Peacemaker Award winner, Chief Mark Nelson of the Grand Forks Police Department.
On behalf of the board of CVIC, of which I currently serve as chair, thank you for being an outstanding partner, leader, and I guess our best friend in collaborating and trying to end violence in our community.
Thanks, Pete. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You guys are clapping, but this is ours. This isn't mine. Okay? My name may be on this, but at the end of the day, I represent our department, and we know there's a commitment from day one when that trainee steps in the door till somebody retires from here, understanding how domestic violence impacts our community and how it's not a standalone issue. I think that's one thing we've gotten better at, to understand how that ties in with economic factors, how that ties in with mental health, how it ties in with addiction. The personnel at CVIC are there, they're doing it every day. Where a lot of times we serve as a conduit, but I think this flips back on you too, where most of you in the room are aware of this, but when I went down to Jacksonville, Florida 3 years ago for our first time for my chief as our reaccreditation, as I'm sitting up in front of a national board, sitting there, the one program we talked about was CVIC, and they could not believe the interaction that we could have and what's the secret to success. And I think the secret to success is sitting down early, understanding that the problem never changed. What has changed is that we've learned to open up our scope a little bit and say, you know what, I can look at it and kind of see it through a CVIC lens and a GFPD lens, and vice versa. And how did that come? It came from ride-alongs, it came from tours of CVIC, it came from bureau commanders reinforcing the importance of working through these issues. So I humbly accept this, but I humbly accept it on behalf of my staff, because without them, I'm just a guy. So thank you.
Congratulations to Chief Nelson on being the 2020 Peacemaker. It's a much-deserved award to someone who has been an amazing leader and caring for our community, and I can't think of many people who deserve that award more.
Lindsay Winkleman is a senior at UND and the 2020 recipient of the Drew Shadeen Memorial Scholarship. She is currently studying business, economics, and social work and is highly involved on campus as the community assistant for housing. Lindsay is entering fieldwork this year and would like to complete her internship at a domestic violence shelter.
I'm proud to be here as the 2020 Drew Shadeen Memorial Scholarship recipient. We are all here virtually to make a stand against the culture of violence on our campus and in our community. Being a part of Take Back the Night brings us all closer to achieving our goal of making our home a safer place and spearheading changes that will improve the lives of people who live in our community. Sexual assault is a human problem, and it requires human solutions to make a change. I've been called to continue the legacy of Drew Shadeen. Drew was a 22-year-old UND student like any other. She was vibrant, with a kind heart and a passion for helping others. On November 22, 2003, in the Columbia Mall parking lot, Drew was abducted, assaulted, and murdered. In the years since her murder, Drew's legacy has inspired changes within North Dakota and Minnesota as well as the nation. Next semester, I will answer her call by entering my social work internship to help women and children facing violence in the Grand Forks community. Change is attainable. I know my path. Now I ask you, how will you make a difference?
Thank you, Lindsay, and thanks everybody else for joining us tonight. And please join us tomorrow for our panel discussion. We would love for you to submit questions for our panelists on CVIC's Rally Roundtable event page on Facebook or at CVIC at UND's Instagram story. If you haven't had a chance yet to visit the Clothesline Project, please take a minute to do so. It's available to view on YouTube.
Be sure to join our call to action. We ask you to wear purple on October 22nd for Purple Thursday as a way to spread awareness. You can wear a purple shirt, pants, or even have purple nails. We will have purple masks available at the CVIC at UND office while supplies last.
Then you can grab a friend or family member and walk, run, do yoga, all while sporting your purple. Take a photo and share it on CVIC's and CVIC at UND's social media with the hashtag #PurpleWithCVIC.
Thanks again for joining the 2020 Take Back the Night rally. We look forward to seeing you all tomorrow at our roundtable event.